Welcome to the Mastermind. As we slowly start coming in here, this is your time to just to share. Anybody have some great stories, testimonials, some client interactions that you've had recently, some aha moments. I know you've been seeing a lot of cool, Jennifer Salter style bomb templates in the group lately. Anybody starting to incorporate that? Yeah, Juan, you are? Go ahead, let us know how's that going.
So far, so good. I actually had a ST lead that kind of went in thinking that they were going to be sellers, but they're actually renters and they're turning into buyers. So, it's good. You think that it's going to be one thing and it turns out to be something else. And the fact that it wasn't such a heavy, hard hit with all the automations allowed them to feel comfortable enough to reach out. So we have actual Calendly Zoom thing this Friday. So we'll see how that turns out.
Awesome. So how did you begin the conversation with them?
I went ahead and I did the normal thing. I was doing a different way of the video CMA. I was actually showing a little bit, probably too much information. And then I took what Jennifer had indicated and just sort of streamlined it and sort of concentrated it all into the RPR MLS without showing any external forces. And they enjoyed it. But what they appreciated was that I showed them what was available in the surrounding communities, which they were sort of aware of, but not really aware of. So that kind of piqued their interest.
Awesome. And if anybody's wondering what we're talking about, it's this template right here that's kind of circulating in the group. So the bomb template is actually, there's a YouTube video circulating right now that shows you how to build it. But this is taking her 3 to 4 minutes per lead to do, because all she's doing is finding the picture, quickly going into her MLS and finding out a range that she feels is local to that Everett Pratt subdivision in this case scenario. She's finding really good feedback from saying your home was last sold for this price, and this is what she thinks it would position for in the market today. I love that idea. The Calendly link into her calendar is right there. She's got a wonderful video that she's updated recently, and she's saying she's getting a lot of great feedback on it. And this has only taken about 3 to 4 minutes. So, that idea of working smarter, not harder, once you develop a process like that, right? Because that's what we're trying to do. I mean, it just, you gotta remember, she took 20 months to get to this point. And that's why she's averaging that's why she's got 20 deals at $10 a day ad spend.
That's why they call it a template. Makes it easier.
Exactly. So she has a YouTube video on her YouTube channel that walks you through exactly how to build that template. And for anybody that's a BombBomb Plus user, that's the way to go. Because you're going to make it your own. You're going to put your own branding, your own colors, right? That's what I would do. And, she doesn't, we talked to her yesterday on if anybody came to the conversion workshop, she doesn't really, Jeff tried to get her to do HomeBot. She still doesn't want to do it. So, she's just too much of a control freak to have HomeBot tell them. So you just got to figure out, if you like HomeBot, make sure you share with people how to use it, or else it's just a generic report like anybody else. And then make sure when you're getting interaction feedback from the HomeBot reports, because they get excellent opens and interaction, that's your time to actually follow up with a personal video. That's also your time to show them how to use it. Like, hey, did you know you can tune your market value? This is just like the internet's best guess. It's not going to be accurate, right? And by the way, this is all the other cool things you can do with this report.
What I would say, and I like how you said about the control freak, I guarantee you 99% of us, and I'm included, are not the ones that reach out the way Jennifer does. I'll pick and choose some of the things she does, but you just got to be honest with yourself, what you do and what you don't. Where HomeBot comes in great is for those of us who are not out there always doing that, knowing you're going to get that touch, and then following up behind that touch. Because I go in and look at the activity log in HomeBot, and that's what you spring off of. Not everybody's going to get that 5-minute response time. So something like HomeBot is for someone who's not as proactively on it, 3 to 5 calls a week kind of thing, but wants a means to follow up, and will follow up behind something, and that thing will get your feet in the door, but you still have to have follow up.
True. What about you, Jeff? You like HomeBot? And how are you using it?
I love HomeBot mostly because of the reasons we've discussed. And piggybacking on what Leon said, I know Jennifer's a control freak, and I know that she's out there hammering people, stalking people 24/7. That's just not my style. It works for her, so I can't take anything away from her. I mean, her big takeaway from HomeBot was she felt that it distracted her potential clients. For me, it's a value added because I'm getting an additional touch. I'm being notified when they are looking up their properties, which gives me a reason, gives me an excuse to reach out to them. So maybe a little less aggressive stalking than Jennifer's style, but I mean, for the money, for the touches, for the value added, I don't see how it can be beat. I think that anybody that's not using it is missing the boat. I see no downside at all to it, other than potentially some of the values that it spits out. So you have to do a little bit of work in tweaking values occasionally, but other than that, it's pretty much hands off. You find out when they're opening it up, and there's your excuse, there's your reason to reach out to them. So it just another way to reach out with passive touches.
Like
It's a
that.
conversation starter. It's an excellent conversation starter. And, you know, for me, I mean, I can show you guys what I'm doing. I have a 3-step process with video where, you know, we send out a video automatically that says, hey, you know, we got your request. We're working on it right now. And then the second email that we send with video is the HomeBot link with, you know, our custom template, which is actually super simplified because I guess in my market, everyone hates you. We're in New Jersey, so you're the enemy, you know, straight away. So you got to get to the point. And so HomeBot does that. It gives you that conversation starter, right, wrong, or indifferent. If they're remotely interested, you know, and hopefully it's super wrong, so that they can say, hey, my home's not worth that. My home's worth this. Well, you've just initiated a conversation. So that's great. And then if they do watch the video, I have a tag and follow-up clause that fires off another automation, you know, to say, hey, we see that you checked out the value. You know, if you want to talk about it, let us know.
Love it. And how's that working for you?
I'm seeing a lot of activity on, because we just started doing this last week. And so all the new leads that are firing off, I'm seeing that people are watching it to almost the end, you know, because BombBomb does a really good, you know, they're not doing like 98%, it's 100% watch, which is great. So I can't get anybody on the phone just yet because most of them give them fake numbers. But one person that I got this morning not only responded to my StreetText text from Julie, but she watched 100% of the video that we sent her.
And the open rates on HomeBot are just off the charts. I mean, Leon, I'm not sure how many you send out to. I send out to about 400 and change, but my open rates typically average between 60 and 65%. So if you can find another vehicle where you're getting that kind of open rate, I encourage you to use it. But for now, 65% for me is just excessive.
I've got 2,000 plus going out. One of the things I recommend, I've seen someone come in here that said they just signed up this week. Go ahead, make sure you sign up for their mastermind, join their Facebook group, and then make sure you take advantage of the video. option to be able to send out. I've got buyers and sellers running. So once again, I'm using BombBomb because I can track the opens and upload the videos into HomeBot to go out, and the open rates gone up even more for that. So it's great because, like I said, you're getting the automation, you're getting the notifications, and you just need to do the follow-up at that point. And for the fake numbers, I actually send an email out. I have my daughter doing it. I just pay her because I joke about she robs me anyway. She might as well earn it. So it just has I have an email going out of one of my main accounts that just might say, hey, Bob, I seen you were, looking at, the information we sent you. Do you have any questions? And then if they respond to that, I get the notification. And now, once again, it's about the engagement.
Wendy, I'm going to pick on you because I know you got to unmute yourself there. So the reason why I want to pick on you is because you also use HomeBot and Follow Up Boss. So with Rosario doing what he's doing, is that kind of similar to what you do?
Yeah. I still do the automated, the video CMA, and I take those values and I put them into HomeBot. So like, cause I kind of want everything to make sense. Like if our HomeBot value is way off than our comps we pulled, you know what I mean? I want to make the correction. So, I actually I don't set them up on HomeBot till like day 8, I think it is that it's set up. Cause day 7, I send out a video on how to use it and that they're going to love it. So, anyway, but I love it because the open rate is huge. They open HomeBot more than they open my videos and my emails. So I don't know how they do that. It's the same email coming from the same email. But, sometimes it, works magically anyway. And they engage, they add in their loans, they look at their value, they ask questions all the time about markets. And is this really my value? And, it's just, and they love it. Like my past clients, they're always like, oh my God, that's super cool. I just saw my value. It went up to this, and so, and it's just all about, giving people value. So I think it helps.
One other thing to remember when you load them in HomeBot, I do the same thing as Wendy does. I tweak the values so it's right, but I send it right away. I don't let the system send it. When I load them, I tweak it, then I send it.
Right.
And you want to do that to get it out. And then the other thing Wendy says, add all your past clients, because now you're getting touches. We forget to service clients we've already had. So bring them back to the table using it. Yeah,
absolutely. And every time you close a buyer, we have a 30-day reminder to set them up on HomeBot so that, and I tell them that too. And I'm like, well, we're going to keep you updated on your home's value. So you'll be able to see it grow, and they love it. So why not give them something they love for $25 a month? Really?
And you can also push the HomeBot link out through your social media too. So there's ancillary benefits as well as your SOI.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, who's got some shares? Some wins, some listing appointments. Kim, how did that acreage property go? Didn't you have an acreage one?
I did. Actually, I'm following up with him this week because I was gone remember we went to Havasu. But no, I'm just right now, I'm getting all my systems in place. I probably jumped the gun signing up and running my ads. So I'm still a newbie, but I've got a ton of CMA requests. I think I have like 210, which is insane. So now I'm just pushing through all that and getting my systems in place. I'm recording 4 videos for a sequence to go out. I'm not sure how exactly I'm going to do that, but I'm sending out my address onlys like crazy. I've probably sent out 30 this week. And then also I've had really good luck with That's Them finding phone numbers and emails.
Ooh.
And I got that from the group. Someone posted it in the StreetText group. So on my address onlys, I'm getting like a system where I'll print a property profile and then I'll look them up on That's Them. And then I'll update my lead in StreetText. So I've found about 95% either an email and or phone number.
Are they legit? I mean, have you called them and it's actually them, or you don't know yet?
I don't know yet. I'm fixing to though.
Nice.
Also use truepeoplesearch.com. Between those two, you really do get a lot of numbers that are legit. And never forget to Google them, because Google does wonders too.
I just posted the 3 videos that I start with, even before I even make that phone call, which happens, I make that phone call within 24 hours anyway, just to make sure it's a legit phone. If it's not, that's okay too. I send every address a postcard. That's the very, very first thing I do.
If you would, go back and post those in the StreetText Insider group. That way people can get them after this and not wonder how to find them.
That's awesome. And remember with these address onlys, I think the way you word it is important. You can just say, hey, you know, I received your address on Facebook. Often I find that it's, you know, you're in a very desirable area. I don't assume it's the homeowner, right? It could be a renter, it could be someone looking at your home, but I always got to get it back to the homeowner. And this is complimentary, even if it wasn't to you. You're welcome to this service. Something along those lines. Because we can't assume it was the actual homeowner, but if we word it in the right way, they might be receptive to calling you on it, especially if they know the market's hot right now.
I actually got one, and it was a friend of mine from our 4-H group. And so I text her, I'm like, hey, Jackie, where'd you want me to send that CMA request for your home? And she goes, I don't know what you're talking about. So I think it was her husband that did it. And I'm like, well, ask Carrie, because somebody sent it through, and I sent her a picture of it, and she was like, oh, okay, well, let me find out. So sometimes it's, you know, a spouse trying to figure out like the equity or whatever. So that was just kind of funny. So now we're meeting for drinks.
Yeah, be careful if your spouse is looking into it and you don't know about it.
Exactly right.
Bye.
One thing, go ahead.
I'm closing on that StreetText lead that I played matchmaker on. So I'm excited about that. The appraisal came in at value, and I just found the sellers a place to live and the buyers a place to live. And yeah, so it's good stuff. Everybody's excited. It'll be closing next week.
Remind us.
Why don't you share a little bit about that matchmaker so everybody can catch up and. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I had a FHA buyer that got beat out by a bunch of cash buyers several times, I think 3. And I remembered this guy was like, you know, I'm not selling until my home hits 300,000, blah, blah, blah. And he's in Henderson. And it was exactly what we've been looking at that we're getting beat out at. And so I ran another CMA on it, and the numbers were there. And so I told him, I'm like, hey, guess what? Your value is now at 300 and I have a buyer. You interested? And he was like, yeah. So I went and I met him, told him about my buyers, showed him the numbers. And he's like, okay, let's do this. And so I got my buyers in next day so they could look at it. They love it. And it's perfect. And so they were just super excited because they were almost ready to give up. It's frustrating out there, you know. I mean, they had money for their own closing costs, but you know, it's when you can't waive appraisals like people are doing right now, or come up with $20,000 cash difference because everybody's, you know, overpricing their shit. I mean, it's just perfect. It was perfect. So anyway, everybody's excited. The sellers were a little nervous that they were going to be homeless for a minute because they needed to do some work on their credit. So they couldn't just go out and buy. And with multiple applications on every property that's for rent here, it's like nobody wanted to touch them because they didn't have at least a 620. They didn't have 3 times the amount of rent, blah, blah, blah. I said, but you know, they're going to be making $100,000 off this sale and they could pay a whole year in advance. And they're like, sorry, it doesn't matter. So, and that happened on several houses, like property managers didn't even care. So I reached out to a property manager friend. It's so nice to have friends. And she's like, let me see who's moving out in Henderson. So she checked and looked to see who was moving out. She sent me over a couple properties. I sent it to my sellers. They're like, oh my God, we love this one. And she totally worked with us and we're signing the lease. So it's a little scary trying to play, God like that. But if I could just make it work for everybody, then I am happy and I can sleep. But it's kind of stressful it's happening with like 3 other clients of mine too. Because you're selling people's houses and then what? Then where are they going to go? Are they going to find something? So you all know what I'm talking about, right?
That's incredible. Yeah. Way to go, Wendy, like mad respect. That's a really cool way to connect the dots for people and solve 2 people's pains at the same time. That's incredible.
I know. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to buy a house so that I can rent to these people. Like, we're going to be homeless. And then I was reaching out to all my cash investors. I'm like, does anybody want to buy a house in Henderson? Because I have a tenant for you. I mean, I was doing every angle trying to get them in something. And I was freaking out a little, but I wasn't letting them know. I was like, it's going to be fine. I got you. And I'm like, holy shit. So
that's awesome.
yeah, it was.
That confidence will smooth over many, many rough boulders. Yeah. And it's amazing. Things do work out. If you put the energy towards it and you put the pieces together, something will figure out. And that's awesome. I think.
Yeah. My
very
husband
cool.
had to remind me. He's like, babe, everything always works out. You always make shit happen. So it's okay. Like, what are you doing? I'm kind of freaking out. They end up in our house. Because I never want to talk someone into doing something and then have it backfire. So anyway, good story, right?
So good.
That's like before the markets went crazy when I sit down with sellers. I've got a follow-up boss too, Wendy, but I use as backing up my Real Geeks, but I use LionDesk. I'd sit down with a seller and I'd pull up all the buyers I had in my database. Now, since buyers aren't such an issue, one of the things is same thing, off-market sales. I had one of my people dumping a rental and matched them up with one and gave them a discount on the commission because they're buying another house from me anyway. But one of the things you have to always remember is data can be used in many different ways. So you can kind of reverse engineer the way Wendy did to go in there. So if you've got buyers coming through, look at the sellers in StreetText that aren't there and currently not on the market and hit them up. Because what I tell people straight out, I am not afraid to knock on a door. And my line has been that I had buyers a year ago were interested, especially with it on the market. And I'd say there's your house is on the market and they've been interested, but they weren't able to get financing at the time. And now they're ready. And what's really funny is they asked if your house was still available. So I'm just kind of reaching out to you. And when you can give them the idea of one agent, just a better net to them, it's amazing what happens.
Yeah, they were nine months ago, they asked about their value and it wasn't there. So, with HomeBot and them requesting updated home values, like we had like several touches before I actually reached out and said, okay, I got this. So yeah, and the reverse prospecting, that is huge, because if you have it set up to where they go into your follow-up boss or CRM and the source says StreetText, so all I have to do is go in and click on source, click on StreetText, and then click on area or price range, you know what I mean? And then it'll narrow it down and you can find, possibly someone that's on the fence that's, ready to make the move. And if the numbers, are what they want, and then, maybe it'll happen. So doesn't hurt to ask.
Cool. Yeah, one of the things that I encourage people to do, if you're not already doing it, whether it's in your CRM or whatever, even in StreetText, when I have the leads coming in there, I go in and I correct the addresses, I put the zip codes, I put everything. And so if you haven't been tagging, you really should start, because if you just go city, zip code, if you want to put the community, it doesn't matter, because what you'll find is, since you're looking it up anyway at the time, take the extra minute to do this. And then when you go back through and you're looking and you're running your searches and you got the filters and you're hitting, this stuff pops up real quick. And now you're not spending hours jumping around thinking, God, which one was it, this and that. You've narrowed it down, and it pays in the long term for you.
Yep, for sure. CRM is your friend.
I think the reverse prospecting, there's a few strategies here that work really well. Another one is if you can pull up people by zip code. And so if you've just done a sold, or you got a listing, that's a really good one too, because then you can basically pull that list, filter by that zip code, and then send everybody in that zip code a notification that you either have just sold a listing in the neighborhood, and if they're curious, they can reach out and find out more, or you have a listing in that zip code, and if they're curious, they can find out more. And those are two other ways you can do that sort of reverse prospecting. And it's cool when you can start to piece things together and create those sort of relationships, because now you're really again, you're solving problems for people in ways that's totally unexpected. People will send referrals on that because it's a conversation starter. When they go and they have coffee with their friend, that's immediately, oh, you wouldn't believe what just happened, right? It's like it's a great way to build and sort of grow your business beyond even that immediate deal. Any other cool stories like that, sort of on interesting deals that maybe you saved the day, or just curious. Anyone who's got a cool story they want to share?
I'm in Nebraska and I still sold a house this week. No, someone just asked something about tags. One of the things is this: people don't sit there and realize that we're not 24/7. They expect us to be, and so the thing is, even like I said, the tags, being reasonable, being able to be reached out to, being able to get a hold of, and like I said, I just did one similar to Wendy's where it's an off-market deal I'm doing. They're FHA. They've lost out on 4 or 5 houses, and basically just worked the deal while I was on the road. And I'm 2 hours ahead of home where I'm at right now. So for me, it's great. I can get up in the morning, get the things done. And then I always joke about things chasing me around. So the deal's been chasing me around since I left home, but I went to escrow yesterday. So the thing is, once again, you trust the systems. I get a hit from StreetText. It comes in, I look at it. I go bing.com. I look up to see what the values were for the properties. I see where they're at. I can reach out to the person. And then, like I said, I sat down, uploaded them on HomeBot, had the people kind of looking back and forth. I sent them the information on the home. They liked it. I contacted the person. Hey, got a buyer. Would you like to sell? But it's just, you can always, ease of use and ease of automation. And like I was telling Marcus the other day, I've gone less automation to make it more personal rather than automate myself out of something. You get to count on automation too much, you lose deals. And I lost a couple of deals I easily should have had, because I just let it get away from me because I depended too much on the automation and not enough on Leon. So
Leon, just to double click on that. When you said you were depending too much on the automation, not enough on Leon, can you explain what you mean by that?
Okay, everybody's chasing the always joke shiny new button. Oh, you gotta get that shiny button. So it's nice to be able to tie everything in where automated runs everything. I didn't have to touch nothing. A lead could come in. Which I'm laughing. I'm gonna connect this app here. Thank you, by the way. But a lead would come in, it'd get dumped into my CRM. My Lion Desk would start sending texts and emails, and I just let it go. And unless they outright asked for something, I didn't jump on it like I should have. I got away from the personal contact. I didn't make a call. I didn't make a personal text unless somebody say something like, "Oh, this is fake." Oh no, we were real. So I was like, hit the brake. Let's back up. Let's go. Less is better. Start at the beginning. So starting with StreetText, it comes in, I look at it, I acknowledge all my leads. Even if I upload into something else, I'm sending them something to let them know, hey, I got something I'm sending you, or I'll call them. But I lost that part of it. And when I took the personal out, it got financial. So I'll say it like that. And finance, it's like, hey, you're in this to win this, not lose. So, at the end of last year, I said, I got to sit down and we got to do this all over. So started going back to everything on a simple level. And even that 1 or 2 phone calls I make that I got away from is giving me results. And so that's why I say sometimes less is better. Automation is nice. It does help you, but you still have to remember that you are the focal point that everything drives through.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And there's something else on that too, which is, having the automations and the drip emails go out is awesome. But then if a response and a reply comes in and you don't notice it necessarily because you're busy and you're doing other things, it can separate the time between getting that response and then actually responding to the response. And who here's heard of speed to first response? Yeah, it's everything. Like Insider Sales, they did a study on speed to lead. If you like, this is just getting like to people first inquiry. So there's a graph and it shows like your chance of getting a conversation with a person literally halves between 1 minute of that inquiry to 5 minutes. It halves again from 5 minutes to 30 minutes. And then by the time it's like 1 hour or 24 hours later, it's just the graph is way less. Like and now it's about how many follow-ups do you have to do to get that conversation. On average, it's seven follow-ups. And so Marcus and I were actually on Cash Call last week and we were talking about this. I think it was last week. And if you look at that from follow-up, a lot of people will send one follow-up per person and then they move on to the next. And what do you think will be better, sending one follow-up per person to 100 different leads, or 10 follow-ups to 10 leads? What do you think is going to drive your business further? How many of those are going to turn into deals for you? And the problem is that most people will do one follow-up per lead, and then they leave a trail of just kind of scratching the surface. And what they really need to do is go all the way till they've done at least 7 follow-ups. And now systems are great for that. Like having the automations and things, because you can kind of have, you can build in and then just say, quick question, picking your brain. You were interested in your home value 3 months ago, you got it. Are you still interested in another one? Market shifted, that kind of thing. That's a really great conversation starter. But then speed to first response is everything, because speed to lead is sort of the beginning. But now what are you doing when somebody actually responds? That can be the difference between now that turns into a listing appointment and a deal, or, oh shoot, the other agent got it. It's like that very, very short time frame window. It's not much. It's 15 minutes. Person sends in a response. Did you get back to them within 15 minutes? And the other nice thing is that I heard a friend of mine say this to me, and I took it to heart a long time ago. And he said, if you respond to every inquiry like that within like 5 minutes or less, you'll be a millionaire. And I took it to heart. So I do try that as best I can. Obviously, time blocking and things, you can't get to everything, but it's amazing if you can prioritize your emails. There's a lot of stuff that's not important, but if you can see those things that are just like, yeah, that's a legit question. Make sure I just have even if I can't get back to them immediately, hey, I'm looking into this for you. I'll follow up like in da-da-da. So they know that you're on it. And then that relationship, that response is there. It's so critical. And it can really be the difference between getting that appointment or not. And the appointment, once you're in the door and you're having that appointment, it's yours. So it's about getting as many opportunities to get and having an appointment as possible.
The focus people forget this. They call it surfing the internet for a reason. If they hit your site, that means they've hit 5 other sites, probably 5 before and 5 after. So that get around to it thing, that means the person that they hit 5 sites ago got to it before you. So there is a difference in speed to response and speed to lead. So yeah, I totally agree. And that's what I had to get back to.
Yeah, that's so powerful. It's so powerful. It's everything.
So I want to point out 2 quick things again as well, just in the system, a couple small updates that are super fun. One, is here, just a reminder again, I think some of you guys have been noticing this, but all of the ads are now being automatically ranked by performance. And not only that, so what you'll notice is actually as you're scrolling down and you're looking at all the different ads that you want to run, you'll actually see here now that automatically all the cost per email and cost per phone number is right there. So you're actually going to get all of those stats lifetime, which is super cool. So if you're looking for like an ad to run and you just want results like right out of the gate, start with the top 3 or top 6. And these are going to be kind of like your best ads. Not to say the other ads won't work for you. They actually might work really well in your area, but this is just a quick glance to get an idea of how the different campaigns are performing. One more thing too, is that when you're actually on your ads, we're talking a lot about automations and stuff too. When you're looking at your ads, this is just one of our test ones, but if you click on edit funnel here, it'll actually take you directly to your automation. So this is a nice little quick link. If you wanted to go in and edit your emails or edit any part of the text message or anything, just click on that. It'll take you right there. And of course, as your leads come in, you can just view that here as well. So a couple small little updates that I think are quite powerful when you're using your system. So I just wanted to kind of point those out really quickly as well.
Awesome.
Staff.
I have a question. I purchased 2 domain names before I read the instructions that you're not supposed to do that. And you're supposed to sign up through the StreetText for your domains. Can I just call GoDaddy and turn those over to you and utilize those, or do I need to find new ones?
So you could maybe speak to GoDaddy possibly about canceling or refunding. I'm not exactly sure through GoDaddy. We don't actually buy our domains through GoDaddy, but StreetText will buy it on your behalf, Kim. So if you go into the domains section in StreetText and you put in the domain that you're looking for and you click available, we're covering that cost. And the reason we're doing that is we want to make sure that that domain is set up with the 8 new events. I mean, lots of changes obviously on Facebook this year. And we want to make sure that your ads are performing, perfectly and to the max. And so that's why we're using a specific domain with StreetText with your ads to make sure there's no conflict on anything else that might be going on in your ads world.
Thank you.
And if you do get stuck on that at all, we are offering daily classes as well. So if you go to the Calendly/StreetText, you can just jump on one of those classes and our team will give you, we'll help walk through all of that for you as well. And if anybody else hasn't done that yet, definitely do it. I mean, Facebook, even though Apple still hasn't flipped the switch, it's been way, way longer than we thought it would be, which is good. Facebook, I'm noticing, is enforcing it on a lot of people's ads. And they're doing it just because they're also trying to do the same thing, right? Like they want to make sure everybody's set up. So we're seeing more and more of that enforcement taking place already.
They said Apple's going to flip the switch next week.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, I think once they've got enough people on the new iOS update, then I think they're making it happen. I thought for sure it was happening in March. I thought April was so far away, and now we're quite a ways in. But
hey, Marcus, I've got a quick question. It's a little bit off topic, but as long as we've got both Jonathan and Stephen here, is it possible for you guys to create some sort of subset in the StreetText Insider Facebook page, breaking down by geographical areas? And the reason I ask is, I would love to be able to see what people in my same geographical area are paying per lead, what their cost per click is, what their cost per email is. Look, obviously everybody's all over the country and in Canada, so we're really comparing apples to oranges when we talk about cost per click and cost per email. I'd love to be able to compare with other people in California or even the West Coast, Wendy in Vegas, just to get an idea. I mean, I know my ads are performing. I would just like to get a basis of comparison and some sort of baseline so I can see if I'm above where I should be or below, just to get some sort of perspective. Is that a possibility from the back end on StreetText?
Jeff, I'm so glad you asked that. I mean, this is, you're basically saying what I think makes StreetText so special, which is, obviously the campaigns, all the data is coming in, so we're giving you the #1 campaigns to run. But on top of that, which campaigns should I run in my market? And so we've been wanting to answer that question for some time, and 100%, we're moving towards that. It's not available yet, but the changes that you're seeing in the funnels page now are a big step towards that. But that's exactly what we'd like to do, either by state level or even eventually down to the city level. So, because obviously some ads are going to perform in markets that are different than other markets, right? And we want to make sure we can make those recommendations. And then of course, to the other point, like you said, from the odometer setting, like we have the odometer based on your commission value, average commission from, what roughly should my lead cost be? But it would be nice to know you're in a baseline, like, you're exactly where the majority of people that are running ads in California are, or you're below that, great, or you're spending too much. We recommend, relaunching some of your ads to drive that cost down. So to that point, it's not available yet, but it's definitely on the radar. And we think that's one of the things that makes it special. So to answer your question in a long way, yes, it's coming.
So for the time being, the only real gauge is going to be just pushing something out on StreetText Insider and opening it up to everybody, see what geographical areas are paying in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think people can jump in and share. I know, even in some of our classes, our custom ad classes or the ad trees classes, that's obviously a chance to kind of see what other people are paying in different areas. And yeah, you can throw it on the Insider group and just say, hey, I'm in this market, roughly where people at. But we will make that available at some point too. We will add.
Yeah, so Jeff, I mean, you're speaking my language. This is one of the things I've been passionate about, to have our odometer be market aware. But we've also are moving forward, and even starting this week, are going to have a daily ad class for you guys. So you can come into that class if you need any help with your ads or not feeling confident about it, or maybe are kind of curious about your performance, you know, or not, again, confident about that. Come to that class. The nice thing about doing it daily is you can come into the class, we can launch some ads, do a split test. You can come back the next day and we can review your performance with you again right there. So should provide a lot of benefit for you guys. As far as what is the time, just go to calendly.com/StreetText and go to the ads class, and then you'll see the different daily ones. I'm going to try to shake up the time a little bit, so it'll be different. It's not consistent every single day, just to accommodate everybody's different time zones.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
Jeff.
the other thing, oh, sorry, do you want to go first?
Jeff, how much are you? I'm in San Diego, and I found that they had gone up to about $25, $26 per lead. So I switched to buyers, which were about $2 to $3. But 25 was just getting a little out of range.
Well, I mean, I can tell you for my most recent ad, which has been running pretty consistently for the last 4 to 5 months, I'm paying at $9.25 a lead. My cost per click is $1.89. Cost per email is $17.98. So I don't know if that helps. That's kind of what I'm looking for, is to find out what other people are paying, so I can either feel really bad about what I'm paying or feel great.
Yeah, and keep in mind a couple of things too. I mean, obviously every market's going to have a little bit of a different cost, just like Jeff, you're saying, and Deborah, you're saying. And as the market's been going up, the value of the leads actually has been going up a little bit too, right? Just because of the fact that the market's been increasing. But I really I think for both of you, that would be very valuable information, so that you could just in a quick glance know, am I in the range with what people are paying in, say, San Diego or wherever. And so, yeah, I think that's a great thing for us to answer.
One thing to add on to this as well is that when we look at this data, it's partially geographic area, but it's actually more the price point of the market you're in. So if you're targeting a lower price point in your market, you're going to find that cost per lead is lower. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one is the competition of that market in general is going to be higher, not only in real estate, but think about all of the advertisers. There's going to be way more people advertising in, say, Manhattan than there are going to be people advertising in the Midwest. And just in general, like, you're going to be competing against Coca-Cola, you're going to be competing against brands, Adidas, just because the audience is a really valuable audience. So you've got that angle to it. If you're in Orange County, same thing. If you're in San Diego, same thing. Like, you're going to be competing. The other thing is that the number of people that are in a market, if you want to get to the majority of the market, go to the entry level price point. That's just where the majority of buyers and sellers are. You can look at turnover rates. That's another way you can look at your market. Like, if there's a high turnover rate, you're going to be reaching a bigger market, and so the cost per lead tends to be lower. So if you want to compare cost per lead, always check what's your average price point, and that will give you a really good baseline. You're probably going to find that Orange County is going to be very similar to Manhattan, because of or Beverly Hills. Like, you're basically you're competing at a similar price point, or Malibu. You know what I mean? Like, these are very high-end markets. And so, yeah. So, and Jeff, for yourself, you've been an agent for 20 plus years.
Plus
20 plus years, yeah. Like, what are some? I'm just curious. I was you've done over, is it 700 listings or more?
Yeah, over 850, 900, yes.
Yeah, that's incredible.
But
so,
disclaimer, they're not StreetText listings.
No.
All of them.
What are some of the? I'm curious. Like, being the fact you're in the market and everything. What are some of the trends or things that you've observed over the market in your time, and what would you say is different today versus even just a few years ago?
Well, obviously today's market is a completely different animal than anything we've experienced in the last 15 years. So I'm not sure it's fair to compare this to the past. I mean, I will say that recently in the last 5 to 7 years, the consumer's gotten a lot more technologically savvy, and a lot more accepting of technology. I have found that the advent of video to my communication with clients, not just to my sphere of influence, but daily communications, has been great and has been really well received by my clients. Not something I would have done or even had available to me 10 years ago. So like it or not, technology is taking over our market. So you need to embrace it. And I'm an old dog, and I've had to learn a lot of new tricks in the last 5 to 7 years, just to be able to compete. So I would say that technology is probably the largest change to the way we do business. And realistically, COVID was a terrible thing, but COVID forced us as real estate agents to pivot from the way that we did business as usual and start to embrace some new ways of doing business that I think we will continue to use going forward, even now that COVID is in the background. So that's just my general take on it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. One last thing I should add on that other statement I made earlier about the advertising is that our mission, our goal is to enable you to get the best cost per lead possible in whatever market you're in. You know, so like when you're talking 60 plus to contact ratio, think how much further your dollar is going in the market than it would otherwise be going. And so that's the real thing. So on the technology wise, the adoption, we've seen it, but it really has, like, if you think about every vertical of industry right now, the adoption towards technology has been massive. And it also seems like the industries that, you know, maybe are not the most traditionally technologically, driven industries, the ones that have adapted to technology are all thriving right now, whereas the other ones aren't. And you're seeing that in everywhere, like Home Depot right now with their systems and their optimization, the speed of change that they were able to do when COVID hit, it blew my mind. But it's, these businesses have been investing for a long time. And so like the companies that are continually progressing are the ones that continually put themselves on the front. And in real estate, I feel like you've got really like these two really killer, as an industry, we've got these really powerful things. Like, number one, we're the largest real estate force in the world, or like sales force in the world, real estate, like collectively combined. Think of the industry as this incredible network of people who are educating the value of a real estate agent in the market today. Like, hard to compete against that. You know, I think sometimes real estate, like we look at technology and so if agents put themselves on the forefront of what's available to them technologically, they're putting themselves in a position where they're winning, because not only are they able to serve everyone and beyond, but think about how hard it actually is for companies like Zillow to try to compete against real estate agents. Think about that for a second. You're competing against the largest like service network in the world. Like, there's how many, like, you think about it, you could think about many different analogies, but so I feel like there's so much in the real estate industry's favor when people adapt to these new things and they put themselves in the forefront, because the market, again, is changing every single day. And that change creates uncertainty and creates a little bit of concern for people who need help. They need somebody to guide them. And I feel like today is a way to really, like, the industry is changing and it's changing quickly, but it's a good change for those who are embracing that change and putting themselves on the forefront of what's available and what's coming. And yeah, you get every email you send is an opportunity to educate. Every conversation you have, every customer you serve, every time you have a client and a past client, think about that database that you've got and the referral network that you have. Those are relationships that they go deep. And these become your, like, I think real estate industry, like we're in a really good position to really think about, okay, what's happening in the future, but take hold of those things and then be the change that you want to see in the industry. And I think that's going to, it's going to just create a much, it's going to be interesting, but I think in like 5-10 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, yeah, this is a good thing. I think it's a very exciting opportunity for everybody in real estate right now.
So
well, the food for thought with that, everybody complains, you know, even like Zillow, this, that, whatever. One of the nice things about StreetText, you get BombBomb, the things you integrate, is the fact that you're delivering your message in a way different than everybody else. When I look at something, I don't look at it for how it works. I look to see how else can I make it work for me. So rather than spend the time trying to look like everybody else and be just another one of those guys or gals, the idea is to get your message out in a way that people want to see you, and as Marcus says, have that relationship with you.
yes, and that's the key. And so when it comes down to it, let's discuss this, because you are digitally door knocking on the Facebook newsfeed. The ad itself, let's just address the elephant in the room. The ad itself, that person thinks they're getting an instant market value. So the moment they get to their inbox, that is your opportunity to create the experience the way you want them to see them and help them understand why they're not getting the instant market value they thought they were getting. Now, if you're not getting that open and watched, what does that even matter? So right now I asked the question, how many of you want to get your emails opened? Because I'm looking at your account right now, Wendy, and I'm seeing 36% of that first email, and I'm saying, no, that's not. I mean, what about the 67% or 63% that are not getting opened? So here's what you got to do. And you got to be able to kind of think about how to make this system work. So when you look at it from the angle of what StreetText is showing you, I can see her 38%, 38%. After submission, quick question. There's 1,550 leads that have, you know, that you've gotten, Wendy, in that, you know, since starting in 2019 of November. 1,500, that's a lot of contacts. And then it goes down to 38% and 27. And you know, you can see how those numbers work. Now, with that being said, we know if you go to your email records, we can see who's opening it and we can see who's clicking on it. But that doesn't tell us too much about the actual stats that we really want, which is the video play itself. Like we can see who's interacting and how many times they're interacting with it. So when I'm looking at your stuff and I'm, you know, I know you got an excellent, like, this is perfect. This is, you know, hey, meet me on Facebook. That's what I would do. I love what your style, obviously. You've got your email signature in there. Now, when you head back into your inbox and you're going to send that personal email, the thing on that is, okay, so, you know, you've got your video going out, and one of the things that I do, and I'm challenging people to do, is saying, okay, so I'm almost going to challenge you to send that same exact video again personally, but just ever so slightly different. And what you would do is you just go to compose, and you would have that same email already canned as a snippet. Because once you put that snippet in, and I'm just giving you an example here, now you can change it and resend it. And that's the power of it. You can change it and resend it just ever so slightly. Hey, did you get it? Regarding your Facebook home valuation request on 133 Glenridge. That little small thing, we're going to say, if you could so kindly respond with, yep, I got it, I'll begin working on it right away. Like this one little change for you, you resend it, it's the same thing, you don't have to do anything different, maybe just slightly change it. But when you do that, now you're getting that personal tracking on it. And you're creating an opportunity to go from 36%, potentially 100%, if you're creating that type of tracking mechanism. Because the key for an email for you is, number one, open. Number two, we want the video play. Number three, any links that we have clicked on there, we want to track that. It's all about measurement. And then obviously getting a comment or a response. And that's what I love about these tracking mechanisms, because I need to see opens, plays, clicks, sends, likes, comments. I can put in that person's email in my tracking right now and find out if they've gotten it. And then I can start working off, if they didn't, what I need to do to try to get them to get it. So some of those small things about working smarter, not harder, is learning that you're going to take all your automations, because you have all that great stuff in there, Wendy, right? All those nice amazing like first 10 days of amazing videos, of which a lot of the people not even get to experience it. So what you need to figure out between you and your assistant to do is like give them control of your email and go into like cross-reference the data, but in the same sense, get the tracking behind it and your percentages will increase.
Here's something on that too. Open rate. Everybody know what gets you open rates? Your subject line. Your subject line is what causes a person to open an email. If you want to improve your open rate, look at the subject lines that get you the highest opens. Make those subject lines the subject of your emails. Your open rates will climb. If you know, we should do a poll in the insider group or something just to say who's got the highest insider open rates, and then you know we can share what those subject lines are. That's what gets you the open rates. If you want to get a response, it's about a short email with a clear question. Short email with a clear question. Always open and close your emails with a question. If you want open, subject line. If you want response, questions. Short, really actionable next step questions. Because a lot of people, they're actually looking for that. Their brain is asking themselves, what's my next action?
Yeah.
What's my next step?
You guys know what I'm talking about there and how to do that though? Do you understand? Like it's so, just so you understand how to use it, when you go to your email, because if you put all this effort into making this email, all you're really doing is you're hovering over it and copying it. You're doing little copy paste, like a copy function. I'm using Command C. And then I'm going back into my email and I'm going to paste it in the body. And then I'm going to hover my mouse over it and select all of it. Okay. When you do that, you might make sure you select the entire thing, click this little save as snippet. Now it's saved as a snippet and you rename it. You know, you can say, you know, intro StreetText, right? Call it whatever you want here in the subject line. You know, I'm just showing you this is how easy it can be for you. And then once you save it, you'll always have it in your little snippets. And that allows you to go in there with every single lead, because you're going to go back to all your leads. Now grab their email real quickly, drive it back into your personal and change the subject line a little bit, ask a quick question, make sure they got it. You should be seeing huge difference right away in the intake of conversations happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but also give them what they asked for. You'll get an open also. So you know, like Jennifer Salter said, that made me go back to my basics with that. They asked, you know what their expectation is. They asked for CMA. Send them one, and have that in the subject line. You'll get an open. And if you're tracking out a bomb and the rest of them, you'll get more opens.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's hard when it goes to spam and nobody even sees it. So, I mean, subject line is one thing, but if it's going into spam, they're not even seeing the subject line. So it's trying to get them to get it out of spam. So I like try to find them on Facebook, and Bomb, I have an intro through there too. Or no, the video CMA that I do through there, I just copy the link and paste it into Messenger and just say, hey, I got your home value. And I emailed it over to you yesterday. If you haven't seen it, it probably went to spam because a lot of my emails go there. Here's a link to it. And then when you put the link in it, it'll pop it up and it'll actually show their address and the picture of their house, because that's what I have on the first part of my video. And so that helps too.
If you see that it went to spam or you suspect it did, send a follow-up email, really short, no bomb, like even smaller signature, because all those things could be triggering the spam for depending how strict their filter is. And just say, did you get my email? Or did you get the home value? And then something like in the actual subject, hi, I just sent you the home value. Did you get it? And that's it. That's all you want to say. And then they're going to respond to you, yes, no. Or if they say no, then you can say, oh, make sure you check your spam.
That's Donna Swansea.
Up in the funnel. Should we set that up as like a day 3 in the funnel? I mean, because I have a day 4, but it also has a video about me asking if they've received it. Maybe I should take that video out and just ask them if they received it.
Send the video the day after. Just following up on my last email. Did you receive it?
Right, I know, that's what I'm saying, but because it has a video in it, do you think it's going to spam more?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. It should, your day 3 or day 4 should be just text really short. And then the email the next day, send the video following up on what you just sent. Yeah, I
Experiment
just asked.
when you experiment from using it from Gmail with the tracking and from BombBomb with the tracking, because obviously if your email has been flagged because you used it like with the heavy dose of mass emails before, that's the reason. But if you're now sending directly from BombBomb, that template, your chances of getting it watched and played are a lot higher. So that's where you gotta kind of experiment a little bit to see what works best for you.
And if you start getting people respond to that email saying, no, I didn't receive it, that's a great problem to have. So now you know, and you're okay, would you like me to set you on HomeBot? Would you like me to, because now it's another question. The other thing is human psychology. We might know what a person needs and we send it to them. It doesn't seem to go very far. They may or may not click the link. Ask them if they want it. Really short email. When they say yes, give them what they asked for. They will then click the link and watch it 100% of the time. I don't know why. I just know it. That's exactly what happens. So ask the question. When they send a response, send it to them. Ask another question, and so on. And then before you know it, that's now like a really good relationship.
Okay.
Add a text to that. Add a text to your day 3 as well, because this way, if it's a legit phone number, it'll deliver. If it isn't, it won't. But if they respond to that text, that's another good problem to have, because at least you have a good number to text up, and you know what kind of automation you need to be running from that point forward to them.
Yeah, I actually have a text template in Follow Up Boss. So if there is a phone number that came through, I do my video CMA, I send it through there, and then my text template says.
Is it a day 3 text that goes out for that one though?
It's I don't do it automated because I want to do it right after I send it.
Yeah, that'd be my day 3 question then.
Right. So my thing says hi, and then contacts first name. This is Wendy with LV Sweet Homes Realty. I just sent you your home valuation you requested via my Facebook link for your home and then it puts the address in. If you don't see it in your email, please check your spam junk folder, as sometimes my emails go there. So that I send immediately as soon as I send that out. If I'm not sending them at 3 a.m. because I did that once, and apparently someone doesn't turn their phone off when they sleep, and I texted them at like 3:30. So probably not a good idea, but anyway, I'll write their name down, and then as soon as 7 a.m. hits, I send out the text so that they can make sure they see it. And it's funny because that works. Like as soon as I'll watch it too, because in Follow Up Boss, you can see when people open it and watch videos also. So I'll be like,
Wendy, I think you should just have a text that goes out and says, "Are we Facebook friends yet?"
Ooh, we should. Although, yeah, they need to find me and friend me because.
Exactly. So you say, "Are we Facebook friends yet?" And then you have, "Here's my Facebook profile."
Yeah. Yeah, we should do that. Facebook.
Hey, Deborah had a good question, Marcus.
Deborah, ask it. Do you have an automation class or is there a tutorial? Yes, we do have a tutorial on YouTube. Plenty of those. So I can send it. Just message me, Deborah, and I'll get it to you. Automations are one of those things that you need to step back for a day or two and just reimagine how you want it to look and go out, because I can give you a ton of examples of people like, obviously anybody who's taken Jennifer Salter's course from EXP, she has her own specific follow-up where she goes and has a text go first and then an email. And then she has a text go after each email. So she's looked at the 9 months and said, you know what, I'm going to go. And so has Wendy, I'm going to go and say, do this a little bit differently, because at the end of the day, you get to create the experience you want them to have. And for me, that first week is all about connection. It's all about value stacking. It's all about letting them get to know you, who you are, what you do in the community. It's not just about their home's value, right? So, introduce your network of people that would help them. All the different people, from title to mortgage to landscapers to handymen to contractors. And like I was sharing in the conversion shop yesterday, I have gone through 7 contractors in my renovation efforts, and it's hard to find good people, right? And sometimes they appreciate that they have an opportunity to connect with everybody, because it's hard to have this integrity in a lot of the industry. So I think a lot of that is just reimagining how you want to be presented. Obviously, you're going to get them that home value. You're going to work on those templates to work smarter. But and then also drip on them with a little bit about who you are, because we all talk about that know, like, and then trust model. Get them to know and like you. See who you are and how you're different than everybody else out there. So that's what I would look at your first week to do, is those people that can stick into that. And then, of course, you time block a little bit, because part of that is realizing these automations are going to go out with percentages. So if you put all those in as snippets as well, you can experiment a little bit with resending it, especially the message you want them to see and hear from the personal side of your BombBomb or snippet in Gmail.
One thing about StreetText is that we're like a fire hose of information, and I feel like that's actually good, because that's how we like to receive information, because we trust that we're going to send a lot of information your way. You're going to pick and choose the 1 or 2 items that you really want to implement now, but just know the information is going to be coming. It's a lot of it, and then but you can really decide, what do you want to implement? What's the one takeaway that you want to move the needle on this week? And then next week, boom, share that. Let's talk about it. Let's share the wins. And then on that point, on the follow-up automation, I think a really simple way of asking the question is that if I were on the other end, like for yourself, ask yourself, if I were on the other end, am I receiving a 10 out of 10 experience? Is this a 10 out of 10 experience? Because I'm a real human being. I'm a person sending this information. I can do something that's so much better than anything that's automated. I can ask questions, I can answer questions. I'm available. Like this is incredible. You have an industry expert on the other end, like yourself. You're the industry expert. You know so much about the market, and your leads have all these questions that they actually want to have answered, whether it's contractor list, services, how can you help me, beyond, am I pre-approved, how can I get better ready for this market, what should I know about entering this market? A lot of people are trying to get into the market right now, and they're realizing this is the time to do it. And so they've got all these questions, and you're an industry expert, so you're sitting there. It's like, if your lead follow-up, put yourself in the other shoes. Like, is this a 10 out of 10 experience? Am I giving it? And then just, well, what's one thing I can do to make it a 10 out of 10 experience? What's one thing I can do to move it towards that? Don't worry about perfection, but just moving towards it.
That's awesome. And what I would recommend too, a lot of you should lower your ad spend if you can't give that 10 out of 10 experience, because if you're feeling just overwhelmed with lead flow, then turn it down and focus so that you could give it that 10 out of 10 each lead. And this way, when you're ready and you've scaled that and you've learned how to do processes that make you work smarter, not harder, then you can increase that ad spend. But in the beginning, I encourage a lot of you just to focus on that follow-up. Don't spend so much time stuck in your automations and reimagining this experience when you need to just focus on your personal follow-up and give them everything that you got. And then with that idea, like, hey, even if you got a great conversation with somebody, follow up by saying thank you with a little $5 coffee card in the mail and just blow their mind. That one thing will leave an impression that will last forever for them, because no one's sent a coffee card like that before, especially in these times. So it is about the go-giver. And if you have any sort of engagement whatsoever and you're trying to make a good impression, follow up with something personal in the mail that says thank you. Just thinking of you, and whenever you're ready, let's take this into a coffee conversation.
Especially if you've had a conversation with them. Especially if if they're like, oh, that was cool, I like that. Don't wait for them to get back to you. If they said, oh, I need to think about this for a week or 2 weeks, in a week or 2 weeks, set a reminder. I know you talk about this, Leon. You set reminders all the time. Set a reminder in a week or 2 weeks. Boom, send that email, send that text message, just checking in. How are things? By the way, here's a $5 gift card. It's like, whatever reason you want to have it, but so don't wait for them to respond to you. That proactive, it'll move mountains.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming. Any last minute thoughts, comments, questions?
Don't forget to go back and re-engage the database you already have. Just like when you were saying a minute ago, Marcus, about how many leads Wendy has in there. Don't worry about chasing new ones if you ain't working the old ones. And even just to reach out, these are the ones that have been nurturing longer. And even though we might have ignored them a little bit, it's still a matter of timing. So the closed mouth don't get fed. Get some out there, send it. Because what a lot of people forget, some of us that have had these 9-month ones running, if you got clients 2 years old in there, 9 months in a day, they're not getting anything if you don't have something else set up. So go back, look, re-engage who you already have, because timing is everything, and you might have the right time when you hit them up.
That's where the home bot comes in handy. So when your 9 months of auto drips stop, they're still getting something from you every month, you know?
Yes.
Wendy, you
yes.
can add to that 9 months. You can add
I
month 10, month 11, month 12, right?
know, I know.
But the value of the home drop.
Not all of us have.
Oh yeah, I 100% with you on that, Wendy. I think we gotta, we're working on some integrations on that stuff too, which I probably shouldn't be talking about, but it's gonna come. And so know that, because I 100% agree with you. If you can be providing value on a consistent basis, it's automated, awesome. Now you send your personal newsletters. Now you send, you share your, a little bit of your, think of it like the Facebook newsfeed. What creates like, right? It's like your Facebook newsfeed. You share a little bit about your family, maybe like what you've been up to, maybe in your case, you've just got your motorcycle license. It's kind of fun, it's personal. Share a little bit about what's happening in the market. Share a little bit about how you can serve or are serving your clients in creative ways. Share a story from your customer, like share your client's story. Have them, if like you just knocked something out of the park, like, hey, would you mind just like sharing, like writing me an email, like of what, like how that experience went from your perspective? I would love to share it in my newsletter and tell other people, and ask people that, because those stories, they go so far. Now when you've got the HomeBot strips happening week after week or month after month, plus then they get a personal newsletter from you. That's you've got the value, you've got the human. That builds trust, that builds value, builds likability. It's a boom, 1-2 punch. Yeah.
I like that idea. Does anybody I like keeping current matters, but it's not really a personal, yeah, your stuff is all on the bottom of it and it is good content. I like it. But like actually building your own and sending it out every month, not that I have time to do that, but that would be pretty awesome. And then adding in your new reviews. I do like that. Anybody is that like a Canva thing or no?
I get newsletters from different people, and so I can share some of my favorites. But I just find it's the best ones are a combination of those 3 or 4 things. They have a little bit about them, like what's happening in their life, a little bit about what's happening in the market, and a little bit about how they're serving or a case study.
Yeah. Hey, Wendy. Other than you know how we get that quarterly thing that goes out for, I haven't quarterly that time of year to do your rain gutters, that time of year this and that. So what I'm gonna do is I've got my reminders of what I have to send out. Instead of sending them, I'm gonna make a bomb video and send it out. And I'm gonna go out and find a house where I walk outside the door and point the things out and just kind of show them, just to see if I can get engagement that way.
Doing video testimonials as well. Like I had a situation last month where I had to bring a dog to my house because the tent was going on and the seller was leaving and the buyer was keeping the dog. So I have a bunch of video of that, and then me like returning the dog to the house for the new buyer. And then I'm going to ask him to do a little video testimonial for me, and then just put it all together and have that be in part of my drip sequence. In addition to, I've got like a big seller funnel, meaning series of seller tips and tricks. I'm recording like 4 of them today, and then just dripping them out to add value that way too.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome, because I'm actually going to fish and turtle training for my seller because he's leaving town and I have to take care of them until the new buyer takes over, because they're like koi fish in a pond.
Record all of it.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Reach out to me and I'll help you like with some stuff if you need help.
Okay, thank you. All right, I gotta go to my closing and then learn about turtles and fish.
I have my motorcycle license too.
Oh, yay. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm going to Utah this weekend. It's gonna be a good one. See you guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. Follow up in the Insider group if you have any questions or comments. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.